Ever-changing COVID-19 rules are once again leaving some people frustrated. Let's look at the latest measures Singapore announced this morning to keep the Omicron variant at bay. For one, if you're looking to travel into Singapore quarantine-free from December 23rd to January 20th, there will not be any new Vaccinated Travel Lane tickets issued for that period. This applies to both air and land VTLs. And from January 21st, quotas and ticket sales will be temporarily reduced by half. Plus, all VTL travelers entering Singapore, including returning Singaporeans, must test negative on their self-administered or supervised antigen rapid tests before going about their activities for each of the 7 days after arriving. Those who don't undergo the required tests and/or submit their results will be issued a stay order or stay home notice. The reason for all of this, Singapore has so far detected 65 confirmed Omicron cases from travellers entering the country. According to the Health Ministry, while community transmission has been limited so far, it's a matter of time before the new variant spreads in the community. Transport Minister S. Iswaran posting this message on Facebook saying, "I understand that some might be disappointed by these changes to the VTL scheme, but it is an essential and prudent measure to protect public health." Journalist Toh Ting Wei joins me now. Ting Wei, let's first talk about travellers who have already booked their inbound VTL flights. Well, they can still enter Singapore quarantine-free. I understand there are additional measures for this group.
Yeah, so for this, those who already got the tickets and are eligible, like they meet other criteria, they still can enter Singapore. I think like SIA and the government has tried to emphasize this. So in terms of additional measures, it's not really new measures introduced today per se, but measures that have been introduced earlier this month due to Omicron. So what these measures are is basically more testing. So instead of just having an on-arrival test, you have to get tested ART like 6 more days after you arrive. So what MOH has done today is to kind of like reiterate that travelers have to follow this daily testing regime, and they have to go and report their test results daily and also report for the test at the testing centers on day 3 and day 7. So in the case that people do not do this, like let's say they skip reporting of the test results on one day, they can be served a stay-home notice, or they can also be like get further enforcement action under the Infectious Diseases Act. So this is why it's being reiterated today. And on top of that, other than what comes in under the law, MOH has also asked these travelers returning from overseas to basically practice more kind of like personal responsibility, because like under the current testing requirements, as long as you test negative in an ART test in the morning, say, then you can go out and about for your activities. But MOH is requesting that for returning travelers, instead of like just testing negative and going out and enjoying life like nothing has changed, they should kind of try to avoid high risk activities like not going to the gym, for example, avoiding big gatherings and things like that until 7 days after their arrival.
I see. Well, let's move on to the VTL bus tickets for the Singapore JB Land VTL. Ting Wei, sales of that, of course, suspended as well from tomorrow until January the 20th. And even when they're open again, the quota will be reduced. So where does that leave Singapore residents currently in Malaysia who cannot return and vice versa?
So just to basically under the new rules, like with the suspension of the tickets, right? It's not that you can't buy any tickets from tomorrow onwards. You still can buy tickets technically, but you can only buy tickets for return into Singapore after January 20th. So let's say if I don't buy my tickets today, I try to buy a return bus ticket from Malaysia tomorrow, I can still buy it, just that I will only be able to buy tickets from January 21st onwards. So for people who are there, like let's say for those who have gone to Malaysia or even on the Air VTL, for example, to any other country, let's say if they have traveled without booking a return like bus trip or a flight, they might be in a bit of trouble, like they will have to wait quite a while to return to Singapore, 1 month at least. But for those who already have their tickets, they won't really be affected. So I guess there's a bit of a grace period in the sense that you still can buy your tickets today for return, like say before January 20th. But from what we understand about the bus ticket situation, especially the demand has been really high. So I would think that either there are very, very few tickets available or there are no tickets available at all. So for those who are going to Malaysia or from Malaysia trying to come in but haven't bought tickets yet, I think they might have to wait quite a while more to return.
And what do you make of this suspension that will last 4 weeks? Do you see, that 4 week time period causing a bit of havoc for travel plans over the New Year and Chinese New Year period?
Yeah, definitely in some ways because it clashes with both New Year and Chinese New Year. Like the capacity cuts will come in and should be in place still during Chinese New Year. I guess for air travel, maybe there are definitely people affected, but maybe not as much as for land travel because like for air travel, when it's something that you have to spend quite a bit of money on and quite a bit of time on, and you have to plan things like accommodation, travel insurance and stuff. Like it's kind of like a bigger thing that you plan in advance more often. So I think generally a lot of people had already booked their tickets earlier for year-end kind of like holidays out of Singapore and back to Singapore. So theoretically, they shouldn't be that much affected, though it might affect I think from a kind of like public perception point of view, people might see it as a sign that things might get worse or it's like VTLs are not they are not going to be like kind of like rock solid. They are not going to be in place regardless of what happens. They are still in place now, but this is kind of quite a bit of a setback to Singapore's border reopening. So that might affect confidence. But for the land travel one, I would feel that it will create more of an impact because from JB to Singapore, maybe people don't really like, because it seems like a shorter distance. It seems like something that maybe you can try to react a bit like kind of like closer to the date. So, and in any case, for the Malaysia tickets, they are sold, if I'm not wrong, they are sold like within like 3 weeks of departure. So in a sense that people can't really come out today and say, I want to buy tickets for Chinese New Year. They have to wait until 3 weeks before Chinese New Year before they can buy the tickets. So that will create quite a bit of hassle. But on the air travel side, I think we are aware of like long queues forming at the SIA Customer Service Center at Ayong Orchard. So there's been queues for cancellation requests and stuff since Omicron emerged. But today the queue seems to be like a bit longer. And I would think that some of that is due to people trying to snap up flights for essential trips to like return from Melbourne or to fly out and fly back before the new rules kick in.